Hey guys, thanks for having me back. I'm surprised after the Nerf gun wars and all of the things that they still ask me to come. I think Ryan is probably a little offended that you said I know more than him, but thank you. I'll take it. And I too am going to stand behind the podium, largely because I'm told my outfit will not support the mic. Right? I know. But anyway, my name is Trivunovic, and I do lead our strategy and insights team at Zeta Global. And I think much like Sonia's heartbreaking moment of, you guys are still open, my heartbreaking moment is, I've never heard of you guys. Had that this morning, broke my heart, was told we had to Google us. So here we are. If you want to know, find me, we'll talk. But I have had the good fortune of working in the email industry for the last 24 years or so. And I have been attending this conference since about 2007. First time I ever spoke at a conference ever in public was at one of these things, and it was such a welcoming place. It made it really, really helpful and easy for me. So we are going to talk a little bit about measurement today, and I think Sonia and I probably should have done our presentation together because I'm talking about why last click attribution and last touch not so great, but it's okay. We're gonna work on it. But I think as we kind of think about where things are going as an industry, we've seen a lot of evolution. There's a lot of change that has happened. Here we are talking about AI, and we're talking about different interesting things that we can do. We also still talk a lot about the same stuff. We're still talking about personalization at scale, and we are also still measuring the channel almost exactly the same way we were 20 some odd years ago. And we measure it like we believe the customer's experience is very linear. They get a message, they open a message, they click a message, they buy something, right? And the reality is that the customer experience isn't that. It's messy, right? The customer is looking at all kinds of things, seeing all kinds of things. Life happens outside of their inbox, and things get distracted and disjointed. And so the problem that we really have today is that we're measuring this modern customer journey in a very outdated way. So as we think about what we're looking at here and how we're trying to move this forward, I'm going to share an experience with you guys with a client that I had who I am not going to name. But it was my moment when I was like, oh, something has to change. Like, this isn't good. So we worked with a brand once that was really into last click attribution as their measure of success. For him, it was not only how the organization decided how to allocate budget, he also got bonused on his revenue recognition for the channel. And I will tell you, and there are some people in the room who probably know this gentleman, but he's devious, like he's super sneaky. And so his solution was to have click activity happen as close to the purchase as possible. So instead of sending all of your transactional confirmation in your email, he only put partial information in the email. Customer experience be damned. Didn't matter that the customers were annoyed. What happened was you had to click on the email to get your full transactional confirmation. And because the transaction was happening so close to the click, he got revenue attribution for it, and that's how he made the channel a star, which was great for his pocket, was terrible for their clients. And so, it's one of those things where you really have to think about what are you trying to accomplish in the betterment of the business, not in just your personal kind of benefit. And while I would love to say that that's the only time I've seen that kind of gamesmanship in last click attribution, it isn't. It certainly isn't. And I do think that as we look at this, there are some opportunities to evolve the way that we think. So, the reality is as we look at the complexity of the channel, we don't send one message, wait for a while, see how it performs, and then send another, right? In a lot of scenarios, we have brands that are sending multiple times a day, multiple times a week, and really, you have to look at the fact that we're talking about a customer's experience. It's not really just about this one message, or even in a lot of cases, this one headline or call to action. We're looking at their experience in its totality and how the sum of those parts really makes them want to work with us as an organization. And so, we've been working with a number of brands to really look at what does that attribution look like when we change it, to look at something that is more even across the customer experience and really looking at the sum of the parts. And it has been really interesting as we're working with clients to see that there is a shift that really does happen in giving credit to communications and channel that don't typically get credit for advancing that customer experience. So, in this example, this something that we've done with a retail client of ours. They were really excited about this anniversary sale message that they did. It got all this revenue credit, but when they actually started to look at how it built over time, what was the engagement across the course of a week or a month with all of their different communications, they really did find that it wasn't their anniversary sale that drove a lot of that engagement at all. It really was more of their President's Day mail, right, that happened that really drove a lot of engagement for them, but also their welcome message, which was really just a, hey, thanks for joining. It wasn't anything, super exciting. And so, when we start looking at this, the goal here is to really kind of look at email more as like a team sport, not just kind of that final shot that is pushing someone through the door. So as we kind of start rethinking the distribution of revenue credit, it helps to inform some different decisions. It helps you look at your customer experience a little differently and really understand the value of the journey over time and not just in this one moment. So I think yesterday we heard that email's personal, right? It is a personal channel. It's something I've asked for. It's something I expect. It's something that is always on and there when I want to look at it. So if I'm bored at night trying to fall asleep, I can scroll through my inbox and I can see some things and get inspired. But the reality is that, the messages that we're sending, they create connections with the customer. It reminds them of things. It influences their habits. But when you get kind of locked in only on the open and click, I kind of feel like we're missing the big picture. And that's that the email channel is actually very influential. It isn't just about selling something. It really is about the connections that we can make with our customers in moments in time. And I think that, as we look at, continuing to think about how we are measuring the channel, think about it as influence, not just as that kind of click activity. So, we really are locked in on rethinking the way that we measure the channel with our clients. We're going really far beyond just the open and click and starting to look at how revenue builds week over week from not from one campaign, but really across the trajectory of all of the communications that we're having. And not just the revenue from the channel or from e-com, but with the connection of identity and AI, we are actually able to start connecting their online experience to offline experiences and starting to look at how this is affecting their brick and mortar and in-store kind of programs. So to do this, we really do have to kind of see the customer holistically, right? We have to recognize them throughout the totality of their experience. So what we're really focused on here at Zeta is connecting the signals from both anonymous and known users, and we leverage Zoe, which is our AI tool inside of our platform, to resolve those identities across channels so that we can track the entirety of the journey, even starting kind of pre-click, so that we know how everything's working together, so that you can best align the experience for the customer without having to make this single decision based on their last action with you. So if we think about why this is important, it makes all of this actionable. And even when we apply these models, it helps to make some business decisions, right? We can start to really understand what the true influence of the email channel is. Because, if we look at last click or first touch, sometimes it can understate the role that the channel is playing in the conversation. It helps us to optimize channel investment. It makes getting dollars a little more justifiable without gaming the system or faking your clicks. But it also helps us to improve journey mapping, right? So we can start to look at the individual and how their experience is most optimal one-on-one so that we can optimize that kind of touch over time for every single person. And then ultimately aligning this across channels and cross-functional teams. A lot of times we find that there's a lot of infighting on budget across paid and owned. And really, kind of trying to skirt that turf war isn't necessarily a bad thing. So as we think about this, attribution doesn't have to just be kind of a scorecard. When we look at this and couple it with AI and identity, it actually does start to become more of a strategic tool to help making some real decisions in your business. What to send, when to send it, through what channel. And it helps to tell us where to allocate resources and how to sequence some of our experiences. But really what it does is it forces us to focus on tactics that help us grow long-term value and not just looking at the short-term engagement. So at Zeta, we are bringing all of these pieces together so that we can kind of reveal the hidden influence across email and mobile channels, to look at attribution of impressions, not just clicks. We're looking to really measure the customer journey from awareness to action. And it's something that we really pride ourselves in. We don't just give you a dashboard. We're here to partner with you guys to really act on this and bring it to life in your programs. So as we look at this, our goal really is to start measuring influence for experience and what actually is moving that kind of customer experience. So as we wrap up, if you guys would like to talk more, I'll let you get to your break, but feel free to grab me or one of my Zeta colleagues here in the room with us today. You guys want to just stand up real quick, raise a hand or something. So we really are looking at how we can start rethinking your measurement approach together. So thank you guys. Enjoy your break.